I still remember the time I tried drying my golden retriever with my own hairdryer. 45 minutes in, I was sweating, the dog was panting, and the second I turned it off, he shook wet mud all over my freshly painted walls. That is exactly when I realized human dryers just do not cut it. Finding a real dog dryer is a nightmare, though, with inflated power claims and machines that sound like jet engines, scaring your pet half to death. I tested the top options to find what actually works. 6-in-1 Dog Vacuum and Dryer. Right out of the box, you notice this isn't just a blower, it is trying to be a complete grooming station, meaning it vacuums up hair while you brush and then flips over to a drying mode. Well, I mean, the concept sounds amazing on paper. You clip, you brush, you vacuum, and you dry all with one single machine. When you actually use it to vacuum shedding fur, it does a pretty decent job keeping the living room clean. The attachments are decent, and it definitely stops the hair storm from taking over your house during those heavy de-shedding sessions. But here is where things get a bit frustrating. When you switch it over to the drying function, you start to realize it is a jack of all trades and a master of none. The air velocity just is not there. If you have a large dog with a thick double coat, you are going to be sitting on the bathroom floor for a very long time waiting for them to get fully dry. You know, it is also surprisingly loud for the amount of air it actually pushes. Some dogs are really sensitive to high-pitched whines, and the motor on this one has a distinct pitch that made my dog a little anxious during the test. You have to spend extra time just getting them used to the noise before you even start the grooming process. Buenkee Handheld Dog Dryer. This one caught my eye immediately because of the unique form factor. Instead of a bulky canister sitting on the floor with a long hose, the whole unit is right there in your hand, looking almost exactly like a futuristic version of your own bathroom dryer. I really appreciate the convenience of this design. You just plug it in and start drying without tripping over cords and heavy tubes. It is incredibly lightweight, so your arm does not get tired holding it up, which is a big deal if you are wrestling a wet, wiggly pup at the same time. Because they had to fit the entire motor into the handle, they had to sacrifice a massive amount of power. It claims to deliver high-velocity air, but when you actually point it at a soaking wet doodle or a husky, it feels more like a gentle breeze than a serious grooming tool. You're also going to run into issues with the heat settings over time. It gets warm, sure, but it lacks the deep penetrating warmth needed to push water out of a thick undercoat quickly. And because the motor is literally in your hand, the handle itself starts to get uncomfortably hot after about 15 minutes of continuous use. If you just need something for quick touch-ups after a rainy walk, or you have a tiny Yorkie, it certainly has its place. 4. Blanlody High-Velocity Dog Hair Dryer. This is where we start getting into the territory of actual serious drying power. When you pull this unit out, you immediately feel the difference in build quality compared to the handheld models. The first thing I noticed during testing was the sheer force of the air. It literally blasts the water right off the coat rather than just slowly evaporating it. This mechanical pushing of the water is exactly what you want to prevent that terrible wet dog smell from lingering around your house. You know, another huge plus is the adjustable speed dial. Instead of just having a rigid high and low switch, you get a continuous dial that lets you lock in the exact airflow you need. This is incredibly helpful when you're moving from the thick fur on their back to sensitive areas like the face and ears, where they need a much gentler touch. I also really like the thick, flexible hose it comes with. It stretches out nicely so you can keep the noisy motor base a few feet away from the dog, which really helps keep them calm. The heat settings are simple but effective, giving you a warm option that never risks burning their sensitive skin. Bottom line, this is a solid step up for anyone who is tired of spending an hour drying their dog. It delivers reliable power and gives you the control you need to make bath time a much smoother experience for both of you. Number 3. Pecute 7-in-1 Dog Grooming Vacuum and Dryer. I know I was a bit hard on the combo units earlier, but Pecute actually figured out how to make this hybrid concept work beautifully in practice. What really sets this one apart is that it does not completely sacrifice blowing power just to give you the vacuum feature. When you switch it to the dryer mode, it genuinely acts like a true high-velocity blower. It has enough kick to handle thick coats, pushing out water and loose fur with very impressive force. When you are blowing out a thick coat, hair goes absolutely everywhere. Having a machine that can blow dry your dog and then immediately switch to vacuum mode to clean up the mess and do some final de-shedding is a massive time saver. Well, the attachments they include are also fantastic. The slicker brush tool connects right to the vacuum hose, meaning as you brush out the tangles, the loose hair gets sucked straight into the canister. The whole system feels incredibly well thought out, and the dustbin is large enough that you aren't forced to empty it every 2 minutes. If you want a versatile machine that handles the entire grooming process, from clipping to drying to cleanup, this is a phenomenal choice. It bridges the gap between professional power and home convenience perfectly. 2. Nestroad Dog Dryer. If you want something that feels like it was stolen straight out of a professional grooming salon, this is the one you need to look at. The metal casing on this thing is built like an absolute tank. The motor on the Nestroad is a total beast. I tested it on a friend's German Shepherd, and the way it separated the wet fur and blasted the water out was mesmerizing to watch. You can actually see the skin, which is crucial for making sure they are completely dried down to the roots and avoiding any nasty hot spots. You know what really impressed me though was the noise reduction technology. Usually when you get a motor this powerful, it sounds like an industrial shop vacuum, but they built in this thickened metal cover and sound-absorbing sponges that completely muffle the sharpest frequencies. It is still a loud machine, but it is a deep hum rather than a terrifying shriek. It also comes with 4 different nozzles, which makes a huge difference in how you work. The wide, flat nozzle is perfect for sweeping over the back and sides, while the narrow, round one concentrates the air for blasting out thick undercoat mats. The temperature controls are spot on, warming up quickly without ever getting dangerously hot. It dramatically reduces your total drying time. A job that used to take 40 minutes can literally be done in 15. My Pet Command Dog Dryer Blower. Let me just say it right out of the gate, this machine is in a league of its own. It offers an absurd amount of power, pushing up to 2,800 watts, and it completely changed how I look at bathing dogs at home. The absolute best thing about this dryer is the dual temperature controls combined with the fully adjustable airspeed. You have total authority over exactly how much heat and force is hitting your dog. When you crank it up to max, it feels like a literal windstorm blasting away water from even the densest, most difficult coats you can possibly imagine. I mean, they even thought about the finer details that other brands totally miss. The hose on this unit extends up to almost 8 feet long. That means you can leave the base unit completely outside the bathroom or way across the room, totally isolating the motor noise from your dog. For anxious pets, that kind of physical distance is absolutely huge. The heating element is also incredibly smart. It warms the air instantly, but it never reaches that scary burning temperature that you get with cheap human hair dryers. It gives off this soothing, deep warmth that actually makes my dog relax and lean into the airstream instead of trying to run away. Bottom line, if you want the absolute best performance, the fastest drying times, and a machine that will last you years of muddy walks and bath times, the My Pet Command is the clear winner. Outro. That's all for today, folks.